Time sure does fly when you're having fun, right? I can't believe I'm saying this, but it has been nearly 5 months now since the new Nintendo Switch OLED model released. That is absolutely wild to think about. Since the OLED Switch launched, we've been through a stacked holiday season with tons of fantastic games, but despite that, the one that I've been playing most and the one that I have not put down since the game came out is Pokemon Legends Arceus. Seriously, this game is an addiction at this point, but that's not why we're here. It dawned on me the other day that it has already been over 4 months since I upgraded my V2 Animal Crossing Switch to the new OLED Switch. I spent hundreds of hours with that Animal Crossing Switch, and really, I just took a chance with this new Switch. Luckily, it was a seamless upgrade, and looking back now, it was so worth it. So in this video, I want to share with you guys 5 reasons why I love this new OLED Switch. So the first reason is, of course, the main attraction, that new 7-inch OLED display. Seriously, this thing is gorgeous. I've said this time and time again in my previous videos on this OLED Switch, and I cannot stress it enough. Games just pop on this display. I find myself itching to play in handheld mode just so I can see what games look like, because they look so good on the Switch. Like if you go back to older games like Super Mario Odyssey and play it on this Switch here, it just feels rejuvenated. It feels like a different experience. The display here is a huge improvement over the original Switch and the Switch Lite. The minimal bezel around the display also makes the console look more modern, especially in today's tech landscape. The next reason why I love this new OLED Switch is that new kickstand. You might not think much of a kickstand, but when it comes to handheld gaming and playing out on the go, it is unbelievably useful. The upgraded kickstand here on the OLED Switch spans the entire back of the console and offers a tremendous amount of flexibility to get that perfect viewing angle. It's a big quality of life improvement that's much more useful than you think. The third reason I love this console are the speakers. In addition to a new display and upgraded kickstand, the OLED Switch also features improved built-in speakers, and these things get loud. Seriously, if you crank the volume all the way up on these things, they are booming, and surprisingly, they sound really good too. I know many will prefer using headphones over the built-in speakers, especially now that you can use Bluetooth headphones with the Switch, but you can rest easy knowing that the new set of speakers here sound very good when you do need to use them. Reason number 4 is battery life. The OLED Switch has the same amazing battery life as the V2 Switch that came before it, meaning you'll get between 4.5 to 9 hours depending on how you use this console and what games you play. I've never had an issue with the battery life on this Switch. If you have the original Switch from 2017 or the Switch Lite and primarily play on the go, you're gonna get a solid jump in battery life if you do decide to upgrade to this OLED model. And lastly, the 5th and final reason why I love the OLED Switch is its game library. I know every Switch model plays the same games, but despite this Switch being the quote-unquote high-end model, there are no exclusives or anything like that. This isn't a new 3DS scenario where it has games that only run on the new model. That said, the library on the Switch is stacked with thousands upon thousands of incredible games to play. It's a console that truly has something for everyone, and the OLED Switch here is arguably the best way to experience these games, like Pokemon Legends Arceus. I can't get enough of it. Improvements aside, the key thing to note here is this OLED Switch plays the same games and does it exactly the same as the other models in the Switch lineup. There are no changes to the internal specs on the OLED Switch, so it runs games exactly the same as the Switch Lite and the regular Switch, which means not everyone is going to find these improvements to be compelling enough to upgrade. For example, if you have an original Switch and primarily play docked to the TV, this may not be a huge upgrade, but if you find yourself playing in handheld mode and out and about on the go, you're going to love everything about playing on this beautiful OLED display, that wider kickstand, the extended battery life, and all the new features that this Switch has to offer. If you're debating between the Switch Lite, and the OLED Switch, which one you get should really come down to budget and how you plan to use the console? Will you be playing in handheld mode, docked to the TV? If you can answer those questions, deciding on the right Switch model for you should be a bit easier. In the end, the OLED Switch is no doubt Nintendo's premier Switch console, and it is for a reason. It doesn't reinvent the Switch concept, but instead it improves upon it. Even though the internals are mostly the same, going back to any other Switch model after using the OLED Switch, in my opinion, kinda makes things feel dated, and that's because of that gorgeous display. This is the hardware revision that the Switch needed to bring it a bit more up to date. It's a solid update to already great hardware. Anywho, that's about it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. If you did and you liked what you saw, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button because it always helps out the channel. Also, don't forget to follow Raymond Strazdas on Twitter and Instagram for much more. Until the next one, I'll catch you guys later. Peace!